Integrity Station. I am Edmund Obilo. Good morning and welcome.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is
State Affairs.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo. State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live.
I've been following the pace of technological change. And if you look critically, you would agree that the pace is rapid and it's exacting deep impact as it transforms human life. Our lives are taking new meanings, from new business models to new ways of working. This is what Ray Kurzweil, in his 2005 book, calls the law of accelerating returns. And the book I'm talking about is The Singularity is Near. It is about the speed of the rate of technological and biological evolution. Ray Kurzweil argues that within several decades, information-based technologies will encompass all human knowledge and proficiency, ultimately including the pattern recognition powers, problem-solving skills, and emotional and moral intelligence of the human brain itself. 15 years after publication, his outlook is represented by the exponentially changing technological world of the moment. The magic of social media confirms his thesis. But the question here, is Nigeria playing to its strength in this fast-changing world? Education is key. In this fast-developing and competitive global space, the importance of education in the generation and use of ideas is important here. Now, ideas rule the world. Advanced and emerging economies, having invested sufficiently in education, continue to generate ideas that shape global politics and economy, thereby producing leaders deciding world affairs. Nigeria is yet to partake keenly in this global market of ideas because its population is inadequately prepared for the unfolding global system of innovation. There is no doubt that Nigeria has a narrow worldview. The reason it has not risen above the primordial sentiment holding its back. An indicator of Nigeria's narrow development view is its education system. Public primary and secondary schools are in terrible state, while the children of the rich have moved to the expensive and better private schools, including foreign institutions of learning. Children from the poor majority are confined to poorly funded public schools. By reason of the better education received by the children of the rich, they are likely to dominate the commanding heights of the economy for a long time. By this, the children of the poor operate at the lower rung, with some constituting themselves into terrorist, criminal, and freedom-fighting gangs that threaten the security of the state. Nigeria's narrow development view has allowed this to persist. With the majority suffering from hunger and deprivation, the chances for development is severely restricted and the country becomes a battlefield. Are you there? It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Are you a young person listening to the radio man this morning? I have a challenge for you. I'm posing this challenge for the sake of the future. Remember the mind, your mind, the way you think, the way you reason, the values you stand for. Your mind is the state in the true sense of the word. Because without your mind, there is no state. That is why the mind is the engine of the state. The mind is the people living in the state. The mind is the people that become governor. Winston Churchill says, the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. Let's look at it from this direction. The colonialists worked on the mind of the African to suit their aims. Remember, it is a mind game. As they conquered the mind, they expanded the exploitation of the human and material resources of the African. The structures of exploitation were handed to indigenous leadership at independence to continue the exploitation. So what happens? The African suffers. It is the failure of the African to engage in constructive mind examination and re-engineering that has exposed it to the political and economic uncertainties of the moment. It is not really about the shrine, the church, or the mosque. Religion is love and peace, oppression and hate. These structures emphasize religion and ethnicity over merit. They throw up the visionless as leaders and seek the consolidation of the wrong. I will also remind you that Francis Fukuyama tells me that things that happened hundreds or even thousands of years ago continue to exert major influence on the nature of politics. He proceeds that the understanding of the functioning of contemporary institutions is linked to the knowledge of their origins and the forces that created them. This is the task before this generation, and it excites me. Remember, it's about the mind. It's a mind game.
It was the middle ground of the shortly after they killed Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968.
They killed Malcolm X.
They killed Malcolm X.
They killed Martin Luther King.
They killed at the Cotton Club in New York, and so on and so forth. They were trying to contain the black struggle at that time. And as a young man in Nigeria, reading voraciously what was in the foreign section of our newspaper, we became charged to know more. And don't forget, it was in the 60s that the American government, secondary school, they will show us some film at our break time between 11:30 and 1. It's called Focus on Progress, where they would let us know how beautiful America is, that the poorest man in America can live on the 14th floor, that you can be poor and still ride a long, big cars.
They were working on your minds.
They did work on our minds.
It's a mind game, right?
Yeah. So most of us young people now diverted our interest from trying to go to Russia. Now we wanted to go to the US.
It was the Cold War.
It was the Cold War. Dr. Olatunji was at that time was representing the Russian interests. If you have a good grade in your school certificate and you apply to Russia, you get a scholarship. You always see long lines in front of Dr. Olatunji's offices. But then we saw that after you won the scholarship and you traveled, we didn't hear much of them.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live.
Jumoke Ogunke, they trying there to talk about the mind game that they went through when they were younger. Remember, it's about the mind. And if you are on Facebook, you can watch me live on Splash FM page. So go there, let's do it together. I am live on Facebook. So watch me. I'm watching you too. Can you see me now? I can see you from here. I have a magic eye. It sees deeper than the eye. It's about the mind. The point is this. There are carefully orchestrated conspiracies holding back the development of Africa. There is the international conspiracy authored and executed by the advanced countries of the world. This has caused countries like Nigeria to remain mere producers of raw materials to feed the production sectors of the big economies. But a more disheartening conspiracy against the progressive movement of the mostly poor population of Africa is the one planned and executed internally by Africans that should be in the vanguard of casting their lots with their peoples and improving the years of decay and lost opportunities that keep the scar Africa in the conscience of the world. Millions of children in sub-Saharan Africa suffer annually from hunger. They suffer from disease. Yet, the core of the continent's leadership remains among the richest, mostly from stolen state resources. The lexicon is poor people, rich leaders. Until this internal conspiracy is broken, the prospect of confronting international hegemonic tendencies remains slim. For example, in the 2018 Brookings Institution report, Nigeria is the world's poverty capital. In its projection, the number of Nigerians living in extreme poverty increases by 6 people every minute. This means in an hour, 360 Nigerians become extremely poor. It implies that every day, 8,640 Nigerians become acutely poor. By the trajectories suggested by the institution, as at May 2018, Nigeria had about 87 million people in extreme poverty, compared with India's 73 million. While poverty is growing in Nigeria, it is falling in India, with a population of 1.324 billion people compared to Nigeria's 200 million population, as estimated by the institution. On the general situation of Africa, the report reveals that by the end of 2018, there will be about 3.2 million more poor people in Africa. It is estimated in the report that Africans constitute about 2/3 of the world's will account for 9/10 of the world's poor. The precariousness of the situation is in the finding that 14 out of 18 countries in the world where the number of extreme poor is rising are in Africa. What does that remind you? It tells you of the job to be done, the work to lift Africa from poverty to glory. Remember, I'm talking about the mind. And we are going to talk politics on this edition of State Affairs. Wait for the dialogue session. Okay? We'll look at the politics of your state, link it with the national, then throw the light on the international. It is about radio getting deeper, and it's about radio helping development. Let's look at World War II and relate it to the issues of the mind. World War II is a portrait of politics that explains Western conspiracy and the dynamic nature of events leading to the emergence of the present global order. This order was designed by the West and works to favor Western alliances. The scholar Akeem, in his book Never Look an American in the Eye, telling the story of his father, reflects on the narratives of the alliances. Oke says his father, Christopher Ndibe, was a genial man of noble bearing and quietly brave. He was a soldier in the Royal West African Frontier Force. He fought in World War II. Thousands of Nigerians fought in the war. But Oke Ndibe wonders why Africans were consigned to the margins, their role often altogether erased when the drama of the war was narrated. He shows a deep appreciation of the power of the mind by raising objection to the imbalance that puts less developed countries at the periphery of the world system. It is also about the truth. And the truth is about a country doing well. It means winning the mind game or understanding the role of the mind. Now let's see how the World War II time Major Salau, Razaki Salau, tells his story from this point. Before we go into the war proper, what made you to join the Nigerian army?
Thank you. I like to join the Nigerian army the first day I saw them after the Second World War. After the Second World War, I think it was the British pattern of sowing victory along all their colonies. The Second World War ended in 1945. So soldiers, particularly the soldiers under the command of a British general based in Gold Coast. So it was like part of West African Command. So those people who were recruited to the army at that time, they are mostly. So after the end of the Second War, there was a march past. People, they organized, they call it the flag march along all the countries that actually contributed to the battle. That is the Second World War, battle in Burma, Ashanti War, Cameroon campaign, and the rest of that. So they were moving all over, walking, carrying their guns in good uniform, good heart, smart, and so on and so forth. So they came across, they were moving from Ibadan. They were going to Osogbo from Ibadan on foot. So anywhere they stay for the night, they will eat there, be friendly with the people and the rest of that. That's what the first time I saw soldiers in my life. So when I went back and I told my grandfather, we let them know that I'm a son of a king. So a son of a king that cannot be captured by the army. So that was what really happened. I wouldn't have had tribal mark. But that make the difference between me and you now. So it's because they believe it will protect me against joining the army. But that spirit has been developed in me. And as long as became 17, 18, I was not seeing that ambition seriously until I joined in 1957. And I believe that was going to be my profession. Interestingly, I wrote a letter to the police that I want to join the police. And I wrote another letter to 4 Queen's Own Nigerian Regiment. 4 Queen's Own Nigerian Regiment. That was the army used to be. And that Queen's Own Nigerian Regiment, which means we are still part of a British army, or under the British colony.
The colonial army that you joined.
It is colonial army. In fact, I joined NMF, Nigerian Military Force. Nigerian Military Force. They didn't call it Nigerian Army at that time. They didn't call it Royal Nigerian Army. They call it Nigerian Military Force. And that is what behind my number up to today. NMF, Nigerian Military Force. So it was colonial army.
And you trained with Ojukwu when you joined?
In Zaria, the same day we were trained at Mobolaji Johnson. Zaria. You see, Ojukwu and Mobolaji Johnson were recruited. Lagos were part of Western region at that time. So we have the same recruitment exercise. They recruited them from Lagos. They recruited us from Ibadan. In fact, they put us, the train that was coming, bringing Ojukwu and Mobolaji Johnson from Ibadan, stopped at Dugbe here. This is the same Dugbe here. In 1956, like Delta, it was Western region. So it was that time we met Ojukwu inside the train, first class. The rest of us were in the second, whether they call it economic class. So we met him there. So he was actually playing with us that, what do you want to go and do in the army and so on and so forth. We were joking. Myself and Mobolaji become tight friends because we were good athletics. We were good athletes. And we play, seriously when we were in Zaria. In fact, that's what made me to become member of the Jogaruba's basketball team.
So what did you see in Ojukwu in 1957 during the training?
You see, the training actually was not completely part of our own type of training. His own training was short-lived.
Why?
Because he was trained basically as somebody who will become an officer. So his own training had carried more advanced lesson, preparing him to go to UK.
He was already a graduate at that time.
He was already a graduate. He was already a product of Oxford University. Whereas some of us were actually playing with Stuttgart, Modern 3, and the rest of that. So our own training was more rigorous than his own. It was followed with Oyibos, white men, more than our own. Our own, we have white men with us, but African instructors were more on our own side. And the brutality of the training on our own side was more serious than that of his own. So the respect that was going to become an officer actually was adorned him at that time. But then he never left us behind. He's always around us after the training. Say, hey, Rasaki, how are you? And so on and so forth. We will go and go do the games together.
Was he playful? Was he jovial? Was he stubborn?
Ojukwu was a nice man to us. It was very nice. But what you see in Ojukwu is that it's highly reserved. Highly reserved.
What do you mean by being highly reserved?
What I mean by highly reserved is that when we are joking, talking about our families, an Igbo man will be talking about our Ojukwu. I'll be talking about Ibadan, Ikiri, and so on and so forth. Somebody from Edo will be talking about Tauchi, Ora, and so on. Ojukwu will be talking about Lagos. Because Ojukwu speak English, what do you want from a person? So that's endeared to him. He's an Igbo man. He hears Hausa. He hears Yoruba. So by the time we are joking or talking or playing games and the rest of that, you see him actually attending to you with your own language. So that's what endeared us to him.
By the time you joined the army in 1957,
yes,
there was the Nigerianization policy at that time, right?
There was Nigerianization policy.
At what point did we have Northernization policy?
I tell you, Northernization policy came before Nigerianization policy.
Can you tell me more?
The reason for that is what you are seeing today politically. Unless you are not in Nigeria, you will say there is no Northernization policy that is still existing. what is affecting you today, that's affecting me, is first and foremost Nigerianization policy.
And you saw that when you joined the army?
We never knew. Innocent people. We saw the army in uniform and that's all we knew. And the white men and so on and so forth. By the time we joined the army, the Burmese, the Ghanaians, the Cameroonians, people from Tanzania, we are in the same unit together, working together, eating together, dancing together, do everything together. So you hardly know which one is Nigerianization. But that policy started long before that time.
Taking your mind back now, what did you experience?
When you look at the state creation in Nigeria today, the political appointment in Nigeria today, even the public service today, you will not doubt that modernization policy is still there.
So at that time, were there more northern officers recruited during your time?
Many of them.
But I learned that the officers were majorly Igbo officers.
Why I say many of them is this. High-ranking officers were many. Lower rank officers were majorly Igbos. In fact, the least enlisted army officers came from the Yoruba land, from Western Nigeria at that time. But you see, our own knowledge at that time did not attach politics to the service. Our way is to serve. But before we realized the issue of, acquiring, one particular section of the army was acquiring larger number, one was acquiring the lower number. It was during the first coup, when the explanation came in the air, and we became fully aware, we became conscious of, is that what has been happening? Is this what we are benefiting from or, losing? That was during the first coup that took place in 1966.
That was January 15.
That was January 15, 1966, when Kaduna Nzeogu came up and started to explain in details in the newspaper, on radio, and the rest of that. In fact, that is where the minds of the rest of us were brought to a situation to say, okay, now in my unit,
you were in Kaduna at the time?
I was in Kaduna. I served the longest time in the military in Kaduna, though my last unit was in Lagos, where I retired finally. After returning from United States, it was in Lagos. But in Kaduna that time, Kaduna had two. They have the artillery, they have the reconnaissance, they have a military hospital.
Why?
Well, I'm telling you that it was when Kaduna Nzeogu came up with his broadcast during the war, just before the war that led to the war, according to them.
The coup speech.
The coup speech that we knew, that we became conscious of what was happening at that time. However, that does not move us young soldiers. What we know is that we have to serve, and we were serving. We never looked back and to see whether something was, whether there was modernization, whether there was Nigerianization. But Nigerianization was meant for Nigerians to replace the white people. And that is clearly understood. What they call non-commissioned officers, NCO, sergeant, staff sergeant, warrant officer, British in Nigerian army. Many of them, there were even many, more than that of Nigeria.
Was the January coup a surprise coup? Did you expect it as a young military officer?
As a matter of fact, I better let you know that the focus of a soldier, of our own type of soldier at that time, it was a big surprise to us.
A surprise?
It was a surprise to us. Because discussing, generally about the coup, we were wondering what would have led to the coup. Because we are sealed up in the barracks. Our outside communication with the civilian populace or civilian community was little, because within the barracks you have whatever you want to have. So what are you going to do outside? So we are completely isolated from politics. Except when you come on leave, you start to hear, this is what they are doing, this is what, and we turn deaf ear to that type of thing, because what they have injected into our blood is service to the nation. And we have been told that Nigeria is divided into 3 zones, 3 regions, east, west, and north. So the issue of whether one area is larger or is at advantage was very, very strange to us.
What did that coup do to the military?
Well, the coup did a lot damage to the military because there was, at a certain stage when there was no confidence between tribes, even within the barracks. Suspicion, high-level suspicion.
Was it an Igbo coup?
At that time?
The Zogu coup, was it an Igbo coup?
Well, I will see it so. I will see it so.
Why?
Because he led the coup and he never denied it.
But what does that make it an Igbo coup?
Well, within those people who planned it together and made him the leader, they believe we can do better than the rest of them and they can lead, and they consider the leadership to him. So, Nzeogu, Kaduna Nzeogu. So, whose name are you going to mention again?
But there were some Yorubas.
There were some Yorubas. Their names were under the carpet. They were not pronounced as Nzeogu. So, which name will you manufacture?
So the counter coup was the Hausa Fulani coup?
The
July coup?
The counter coup came up as a revenge.
And it was bloody.
It was then bloody. Bloody in the sense that the reason for the first coup was not clearly, or people refused to understand. It's either they refuse to understand it, or they understand it, but they don't want to believe that was the reason. So it was bloody to the point that many people lost their lives.
Igbo officers were killed in the barracks.
Officers were killed in the barracks. My own officer, my own platoon commander, an Igbo man, is senior, another Igbo man. The third one who served in that hierarchy was for what they call Akwa Ibom today. They were all killed in Abeokuta there. And I can mention their name if there is need for that.
Please go ahead.
Anifuru, John Ubienu, Upong Usong. They were all killed in Abeokuta here. Because I was posted from Kaduna to Abeokuta as an instructor, because I've just returned from instructor's course in England to train people on tanks, on armored car.
So during the first coup, you were in Kaduna?
I was in Kaduna.
During the second coup, you were in Abeokuta?
No, during the second coup, I was in Abeokuta. Just for a short period to train a tank crew, And I went back immediately after the training as an instructor. In fact, I was chief instructor at the same time.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live.
Splash FM 105.5.
Sometimes there are truths you of the situation and speak out. We present Loud Whispers. Loud Whispers. A radio drama that takes you on a journey of reality as we explore social issues, reproductive health, and right matters that are often discussed in whispers. Experience 15 minutes of intrigues, humor, and suspense-filled radio drama for 18 weeks.
Join us every Tuesday on Splash 105.5 FM from 8:45 p.m. to 9 p.m. from June 2020.
Loud Whispers is proudly brought to you by One Life Initiative with support from Amplified Change.
Babe, Grain Smart. Is it a flavor?
No, it's a special mix of vitamins and iron in Golden Morn.
But I thought Golden Morn was made from maize and soya.
Yes, Niger maize and soya protein fortified with Grain Smart, which means the right energy to think and do great things.
Oh! Treat your family to the great taste and energy of Golden Morn. Eat up and carry go, because nothing do you. Golden Morn, make every day amazing. Turbo boost your evening drive with the coolest choice of music to help you get home, the gym, or wherever you're going. All the hits in the mix. You've got good vibes coming your way. Mondays to Thursdays, 5 to 10 p.m. on Splash 105.5 FM. And don't worry if you ain't driving. The Smooth Home Drive is just as good if you're sitting, walking, or cooking. After the hustle and bustle of the day, you deserve to reward yourself with a Smooth Home Drive. You get news updates, tidbits, traffic reports, games, drama, and music requests. Supercharge your evening experience with a Smooth Home Drive with Colade and Spice. Mondays to Thursdays, 5 to 10 p.m. on Splash 105.5 FM.
Splash FM 105.5.
State Affairs.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo.
The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Before that commercial break, you heard my chart with Major Razaki Salau talking about the Civil War, but looking at the beginning. You know what I'm doing? I'm collecting interviews from those that witnessed the war. I want to do a collection of about 30 persons that saw the war, that participated in the war. The interviews will be published as a book, so Major Salau is one of them. Did you fight in the war? The war story has not been understood by the young persons of Nigeria. But in the story of the war, you will find the challenges of the Nigerian state. When you talk about the national question, once you study the war, you begin to understand clearly where we are coming from, and you begin to place your hand at the point where the rain began to beat us. Dr. Olisa Mojama, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
I'm excited to be here once again, and I hope it's going to be a rollicking moment and intellectual festival.
Yes, your profession is history. You look at events of the past, you look at today, and perhaps make projections into the future. You listen to Major Razaki Salau there.
I did.
What is your takeaway?
Well, I think it's a kind of reflections and reenactment of what has happened in the history of Nigeria, so as to enable us to understand the configuration of the Nigerian state in the 1950s, in the 1960s, and see how we can use that as a benchmark to project into the future and also to make today a better place. What he was talking about had to do with the army and also the Civil War. And what I could understand from his narrative was that in the 1950s, there was a process of Nigerianization. But after that, maybe as a result of the coup, or maybe as a result of the Civil War, that changed into sectionalization. We began to splinter into the contingent process of mini-factional or mini-ethnic principalities. The idea of Nigerianness began to be lost, and that, to a large extent, has contributed to the quagmire into which we find ourselves today.
Have you seen the book, The Nigerian Cocoa Industry and the International Economy in the 1930s, A World Systems Approach, written by Olisa Mojama? Olisa Mojama is of the Department of History, University of Ibadan. Mojama, looking at the content of your book, I raised the point about the African, the question of the mind. I want us to go through it together. I want to see the way you are thinking in the direction of your argument in your book. Though your book talks about economy and the power of the cocoa economy, But does it have to do with the mind of the African? Look at this. I started this morning by saying that in this fast developing and competitive global space, the importance of education in the generation of and use of ideas cannot be neglected. And that's what you have done by writing a book, The Search for Knowledge. Then I looked at the point that the mind of the African, the mind of the European, is really the state, that the state is a collection of minds. The reason Churchill said that the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. The way people think, that is what they've become. And here, I'm making the point that it's the failure of the African to engage in constructive mind examination and re-engineering that has exposed it to political and economic uncertainties, resulting in religious and ethnic crisis, poverty, ruthless corruption, and politics of deceit. Does your book address some of these issues?
Well, to some certain extent, because when you say politics seems to be the driving force of everything. That's why Aristotle will say that the master art, determines all other things. The kind of education you attain within a given society is determined by those who bestride the corridors of power. The kind of infrastructure you have within a given environment is determined by those who bestride the corridors of power. And that is where the idea of mind game comes in. Because we have two kinds of enslavement. You can enslave people physically. You can also enslave them mentally. And mental enslavement is also part of the mind game which you are talking about. Because in order to deal with people or to control them physically, you have to first and foremost control their mind. And that's actually what the international politics is all about. That is why we have that dichotomy of developed and underdeveloped societies. And you talked about the conspiracy, a situation in which those in the developed climes try as much as possible to keep us perpetually in the underdeveloped state because they are controlling our minds. They do so simply because they understand that, for instance, if you leave the African people, I must tell you, I have argued this here on some occasions, that we were not actually underdeveloped by the time the vitality of human existence. But when they came, they felt that in order to enable them to control us perpetually, even after slave trade, that they would have to deal with our mindset. That is where we create paradigm. And once you have a particular paradigm, irrespective of the level of education you have attained, that has affected the peripheral countries.
In your book, you agree that there are periodic circles and waves that characterizes global capitalism. Is global capitalism unraveling as COVID-19 take its toll on the world?
Yeah, when you say cycles in capitalist system, we are talking about the waves, the ups and downs. The major cycle we have had, maybe in the 19th century, could be regarded as the Great Depression of the 1930s. After the Great Depression of the 1930s, we also had other recessions, 1980s, the dot-com bubble of 2002 and so on, the 2008 recession. But what COVID-19 has done is that it has brought about the ascendancy of a new form of depression. Before now, we had not had any kind of recession that overtook that of the 1930s. But what COVID-19 has done is that it has brought about a new kind of depression that has overtaken what has happened in the 1930s. So probably after now, most of the books existing on depression economics must be reviewed.
In that case, the 1930s can no longer be Great Depression.
That's what we are saying, because what has happened now as a result of COVID-19 has brought about a new change in the narrative.
But does it offer new opportunities for the African?
Well, it depends, because, you need intellectual power, you need education actually to thrive in the modern political economy of the international system. So there may be a limit to which African ascendancy can come about after COVID-19, simply because education is still at the backwater.
Dr. Olisa Mojama is on State Affairs. He's the author of the book, The Nigerian Cocoa Industry and the International Economy in the 1930s, a World Systems Approach. Let's go back into time. Remember Great Lamb? Perhaps Great Lamb will tell us the story of the past. Like a kingmaker now. Would you say you made this governor?
God made the governor. It is God who made him, not Adesina. I can assure you that it is God. You God used the people to make the governor. My own is just to be a sort of midwife. I campaigned for the governor. And God accepted my campaign and my prayers.
Should we call you a godfather?
Well, in a way. There is nowhere you don't get godfathers. In England, there are godfathers. In America, there are godfathers. Everywhere, there are godfathers. It only depends on the way you use your own godfather. You see? I'm not a godfather who will be dictating to either the governor or the president do this. No.
So you are not dictating to this governor?
I will never. I'm not doing that.
Does he consult you?
Only on important issues. He consults me. And then I give advice. Even when he doesn't consult and I just see that something must be done or it's not being done well, then I just phone him and say, Governor, please consider this. Just an advice. He may say take it, may not take it. He's a bona fide owner of the government, you know. I've done my own. I did my own 1999-2003, and nobody dictated to me. So why should I dictate to him? I'm not the type of person like that. I will never, till I die, I will never do that.
You told him to step on toes?
If necessary, so that if
should be stepped on.
Toes that will not make governance easy in our state.
Have you been able to identify these toes?
Only the governor could identify. At least when I was governor, I identified my own, and I stepped on them.
When Ajimobi submitted the lists of commissioners, your son's name was not there. Did you raise any eyebrow?
But for the fact that you are asking me the question, I will not have answered it. Because you should have thrown that question to the governor himself. Honestly, I did not raise any eyebrow. I did not. It was Governor Ajimobi himself who called me during the period he was screening commissioners. He said, Uncle, I'm going to pick my boy, my son, my brother, Dapo, to be state commissioner. And I want to assure you that I will pilot him to be successful. That's exactly what he said.
You did not push for him
Never.
To be a commissioner?
Then I said, well, it's his own problem.
But the rumor was that you were not happy with the lists that Ajimobi submitted.
Never.
At the first instance.
Never.
Claiming that most of the members there, or most of the names there, were not members of the party. They did not work for the success of the party in the 2011 election.
No. What I said, don't misquote me, is that many of the persons we recommended were not picked. Many of the persons, his government, there's nothing I could do. I said I will never interfere in that government.
And you've kept to your words?
Of course, up to now. Go and ask him the question. I've kept to my words. I don't need to interfere at all.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live.
Honorable Dapo Adesina is on State Affairs. Good to have you on State Affairs.
Good morning, Edmund Obilo.
You just heard the voice of your father. How does it make you feel?
The late great Lam.
We talked about you in that interview. And I remember you left the APC. You went to the ADC. Are you still a member of the ADC?
Yes, I am.
You've not moved back to the APC.
You know, we were not brought up to jump from one place to the other as politicians. And then most importantly, if not because of what happened at that time, I'm sure you know that I wouldn't have left. But a lot of people don't even know. You see, I was listening to your program when I was driving here this morning, and I heard a particular word that made me very excited. He said, mind game. Our leaders have played a lot of mind games with us that we tend to feel that a certain political party is a definition of what you call the progressives. When you talk about the progressives, you are talking about the center-left for a political philosophy. And when you are talking about the center-left, you are talking about people who believes in socialism, democracy. People who believes in making sure that the rich and the poor, the gap between them is not widened. The people who truly believe in the enthronement of an egalitarian society. Those were the things that the Great Lamb stood for. And when you look at, yes, you can say the All Progressive Congress is a center-leftist party. But when you also look at the party that I went to, it's also a center-leftist party. Because when you look at the manifesto and the objectives of that party, it talks about the masses. It talks about egalitarian society. It talks about making sure that you have a society where social justice is enthroned. So for me, I believe that, yes, I could have left. I needed a platform. But platforms in Nigeria, you talk about politics, you talk about political orientation, we just use, it's just about the mind game that our leaders have played with us. When you talk about people who are center-leftists, who are progressives, who are people who really want the enthronement of an egalitarian society? Are there people who amass wealth when they get into office? Is that a progressive?
Now,
obviously not.
Let's go back to the days before the 2019 election. You wrote a letter to the national leader of the APC. You said in the letter, meanwhile, the governor only included my name and the names of 5 others when members of the defunct ACN protested the non-inclusion of those who worked for the party's success at the polls. The governor had submitted names of people who were unknown to the party and loyalists of former governor, His Excellency, Senator Rashid Adewolu Ladoja. I discussed with Lam about the subject, and you raised it in the letter to Tinubu. Tell me more.
Thank you very much. Let me first say clearly that may God Almighty in His infinite mercies please grant peaceful rest to my former boss, the former governor of the state, the Koshelari, Senator Abiola Jimobi. But when you look at that letter, I never even knew that you had this interview with my father. But absolutely you can say that they both aligned. At first, when the names came out, is just like my father rightly said, he was the one elected as governor. And he has the right to determine whoever he wants to work with him or not. My name didn't come with the first list. Nobody was hungry. But a lot of people were protesting and saying that the names of the people that were there were not people who worked for the party. So I remember vividly very well. I was inside the Ibadan Northeast local government at Iwo Road that fateful afternoon after the first list came out. And I received a call from my father's former personal assistant, Alhaji Fatai Bikunle, Bayo Bikunle. And immediately I picked up the call. I called him Pofeti, hold on, Adedapo. My Excellency wants to speak to you. And he picked up he collected the phone and he was like, Dapo, how have you been? Your Excellency, congratulations, sir. You have not congratulated me, I have not seen you. And I'm like, no, sir. I didn't want to come and bother you. I realized that you just won an election, you just got sworn in, and I expect that you should do your job. And along the line, you know that we wish you well. I was like, okay, I want you to bring your curriculum vitae to me. I want to look at it. That was it. And then I left by the Northeast local government. I went to Felele. I went back to my father at Felele. And I told him this was what happened. And he said, yes, you should take it to him. So it was later in the evening that Alhaji Fatai now saw me and said they were having a conversation about including me in the cabinet, and they were arguing about the fact that some people had told the governor that I went to Poly Ibadan and I was not a graduate. So he needed to see my CV. And then at that point in time, I think he was collecting CV of everybody who wanted to give appointments. So when I gave my CV to Alhaji Fatai, he took it there, and the rest is history.
And you were appointed commissioner?
And I was appointed commissioner.
Commissioner of Youth and Sport?
Youth and Sport, yes, please.
Let's look at your letter again to Tinubu. You said, sir, the most shockingly saddening experience in my relationship with Governor Abiola Ajimobi came in October 2012 at the height of my father's sickness. I had approached the governor on a Thursday to seek his permission to travel to Lagos to check up on my ailing father. He told me that I did not need to seek permission to visit Babalam, and that I should go ahead and extend his regards to him. With this encounter, I proceeded to visit Babalam, only to return to work on Monday to meet a query from the governor demanding explanation from me on why I absented myself from work on Friday. I responded to that query date 12th of October 2012, stating how I had sought and got the governor's permission before embarking on the trip. Okay, why were you telling Tinubu this?
Thank you very much once again. You see, at this point, I feel that the best I can do in memory of my former boss, the late governor, is for anybody who is no more alive. This letter was written when he was alive. At this point, I don't think I should dwell on that anymore. I should honor him. He is not here anymore to be able to defend himself.
Was that politics?
Very, very unfair of me to continue to dwell on this. Very, very unfair.
All right.
Yeah.
Unfair.
But the truth is, that letter was written long ago while he was alive.
And it's the power of letters. Even when he's gone, we can still read the letter.
Yes, I totally agree with you, but you also agree with me that as a young boy, as a Yoruba boy, as a Nigerian, somebody who is old enough to be my father is no more. He can't defend himself. Why should I continue to talk about it? I've spoken about the things that I feel was not right at the time he was alive. At this point, I think we should all honor him and let him rest in peace.
I hear this all the time. Let the dead rest in peace. I hear it, let's leave the dead alone. Did they leave us alone when they were here, Andrew Emeziele?
Well, I want to say that they never left us alone. And history also repeats itself, especially when we don't tackle it. And we have to talk about issues the way it has been so that we can be able to project into the future.
Yes. Let me remind you that Dapo Adesina represented Ibadan Northeast Southeast Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. He was a Commissioner of Industry, Applied Science and Technology under Ajimobi. Dapo was also a Commissioner of Youth and Sports. Andrew Emeziele is the National Coordinator, All Workers Convergence. He is a former State Chairman, Trade Union Congress, Oyo State. I also have with me on State Affairs, Bayo, former Commissioner of Justice and Attorney General of Oyo State. Bayo, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you, Edmund. I'm always glad to be here.
And I must say, accept our condolences. You were very close to the former governor.
Thank you.
You miss him, right?
Very well.
What do you miss about him?
I miss him. I miss him a lot. Because we were too close. He was my boss, my mentor, my confidant, and also my benefactor. So I miss everything about him.
You are his lawyer with regard to the land case. in court, right?
Yes. But let me tell you straight away, I'm not going to discuss that on here because the matter is sub judice.
Yes,
in court.
We are not discussing the veracity of the matter.
Yes.
Just give us the history. What is it about?
But I give you the history. I'm telling you what we have in the papers before the court, and it's unethical.
It's unethical?
It's unethical.
To discuss what's in the paper?
To discuss, I won't do that.
Are we saying when we go to court, we have no right to talk about the issues?
You have the right, but I don't have, because I filed those papers.
And you're not going to tell us what is in the papers?
That's media trial.
No, we're not saying whether good or bad. What are the issues?
My brother, I'm sorry, I won't discuss that. It's unethical.
Unethical.
I insist on that. Please, respect my opinion.
Dr. Mojama, we are talking politics, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Dapo Lam will not discuss the letter he wrote about a governor that is dead.
No, Edmund, a lawyer does not argue his cases.
No, we're not arguing.
Exactly.
We are talking in terms of educating the people. What is the right position?
Those are public documents. You have access to court. Apply for the certified true copy and discuss it here, but not through me, as a lawyer who filed and initiated the processes. It's not right.
We may have
just unethical.
Okay.
Yes. We may have to look at it from a different perspective. We know that was said he was not going to dwell on the letter he wrote because the governor is not here. But I don't think he was actually trying to accuse the governor. We are trying to find out the content of the letter and the philosophy underlying the letter. But let's give it to him. He is a lawyer, and the former Attorney General of the state. He has a point in what he's saying, because once a matter is pending in court, it may be tantamount to sub judice to discuss it. But what we are trying to do is to actually elicit the fundamental points, not necessarily to decide the case here, whether good or bad. It's just to know, because the press can also report the issues, what is happening, what cases have been filed. But the discussion may not take place because it may be tantamount to media trial.
Now let's look at this point. Let's allow the dead to rest.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it depends. It's a Western philosophy. Yeah, maybe Christianity and the Arabic cultures brought that idea into the African society. In African society, the dead is also part of the current existence, because we believe that there is a connection between the three facets of time. Okay, time past, time now, and time future. These are the three aspects of time, and all of them are interconnected. We believe that what happens today has a way of being generated by the past and has a way of impacting the future. So those who have died are still part of the present existence in African cosmology.
Now let's look at this question of mind game. When somebody dies, we tend to deify the people. Oh, he's dead. We pray, we forgive. Is that part of the mind game?
Well, it is, because, there is a sense in which we can accept that, insofar as that person is no longer here to defend himself, depending on the issue at stake.
Must the person be here? Are the facts not on ground to analyze the person?
Yeah, I see. When we are analyzing the facts, that is from what that person has kept on ground, maybe from his sayings, such as the interviews you have conducted, maybe from the books the person has written, we can generate the philosophy of that person. We can generate the mindset, the process of thinking. But if questions arise from those things, from our analytical ability, we need to ask some questions. Who are we going to ask these questions?
Now,
the person is no longer here.
Bayo, let's look at Oyo State politics. Now, with the absence of Ajimobi, what do you see in the APC?
In fact, he has created a very big vacuum, which will be very difficult to fill. Yes, Ajimobi can come back, but nobody is irreplaceable. But I can tell you that it is like within the APC now, which is exit, glorious exit and transition. A big vacuum has been created, and it's like things fall apart. The center can no longer hold. I've looked at APC. I look at it in totality. You see, we have leaders and there are leaders. When Alhaji Lam, our leader, died, may the Almighty Allah continue to bless his soul. Alhaji Lam was a charismatic leader. And he was a leader who towered above all within the ACN at that time. It took time before APC could gather itself together. ACN as at that time, but let me use APC to really reposition the party after his exit. It was very sudden.
It's always sudden.
Always sudden. So similarly now, Senator Abiola Ajimobi too had passed on. Another big vacuum. I look at the Congress of the party now. Otumba Adebayo Alakala, also an ex-governor. We are lucky that he joined APC long before the last 2019 election, and at the time he left, he also came back. If he's not there today, I look at the party, all the members. If Otumba Alakala is not in the party today, who can fit in to step into the shoes of Ajimobi?
Are you saying the leadership now falls on Alao Akala?
Naturally.
I've heard some.
Naturally, forget what anybody can say. Also, Otumba Alakala, also a past governor of this state. And people have been using the term, somebody is a progressive, this one is not a progressive. Who is not a progressive? Anybody that has made progress in his life is a progressive. Anybody that has made any progress.
But in the true sense of the word, in the political sense of the word.
Forget that.
Now, I have heard.
Forget that.
I've heard from some Lamis that they will not accept the leadership of Alao Akala. It will be two PDPs in Oyo State. That is the argument. One led by Sheyi, another will be led by Akala in APC. And they call it two PDPs. What do you think?
Well, let's watch at the effect on food.
All right.
Let's watch.
Now, let's listen to
Sheyi. Find this level.
Let's listen to Sheyi Makinde here, 2019, on the 2nd of March, 2019, before the gubernatorial election.
Is this the fall of Ajimobi?
Well, I mean, it's the end. There's really nothing to say, in terms of holding a political office, because I believe 4 years' time, the governor will probably not come back to say, I want to contest to go to the Senate again. However, I need to have this. He's been in the saddle for 8 years. There are certain lessons that must have been learned. We will accord him the respect of being an ex-governor. We will tap him where necessary, on some of the things that we felt were not done right. Maybe you can tell us, some of the things some of the factors, that led to taking those decisions. For me, what is important is to have all the brains, to work for the progress of Oyo State. Whether you're APC, your PDP, your SDP, if you have something to offer, we will tap.
Now that you are making this point, I could remember asking you at the debate if you were going to probe Ajimobi. You said no.
We'll be too busy, really, to spend time, resources, and energy, probing the past. I will not.
But you just said you were going to ask questions.
Yeah, we're going to tap him. This is on the positive side of things. Like you've occupied a certain position before, you've taken certain decision, and we felt that experience, may also, be tapped.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live.
Seyi Makinde there before he won the election. He is the governor of Oyo State. Engineer Akeem Olatunji, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Good morning, listeners.
You heard your governor there saying that they will be too busy to probe Ajimobi, and yet you will not allow Ajimobi be. Your government grabbed the land. Is that not probing?
Well, in the right sense of it, we decided not to dig deep, and because that will serve as a distraction. That's to the government.
Not deep. You just touch the surface.
Exactly.
You see, is that fair?
No.
We elected you, and you are touching the surface.
I said, there are certain things that you can't sweep under the carpet, right? Things that are glaring, right? But all the same, if you look at it, we are still very, very focused. And personally, or let's say as a party, we've decided not to talk about late Ajimobi. Then the reason is because of how the whole drama play out, and secondly, he's not there to defend himself as of today. So, and the family is still in the mourning period. So definitely we need to identify with them. So, but all the same, if you look at what has transpired in the last 1 year, you discover that we did not probe him.
You revoked the contract of Ibadan Insane Road.
Yeah.
You're not probing.
No, that's not probing.
What is it?
No, that's not probing. The contract has been awarded for quite some time before we came in, and there was no progress. Nothing to justify the about 1 billion. Spent on the road. Nothing to justify it. So, and the essence of putting eyes on it is to make sure that the public get value for their money. So, and we call them to order, and at the end of the day, if you look at what we are having in the bill now, it takes care of street lights from Ibadan to Iseyin. And apart from that is that it's more or less like a fixed contract. So we won't allow contract fluctuation. So
perhaps she has to go back and look at the word, the meaning, probing. Because when you came in, you looked at the books and you discovered some cars were missing.
Definitely.
And you sent men on the road to grab cars. That is probing. Anyway.
You see, in the real sense of it, I'm telling you, so many of the actors in the past administration supposed to be frequenting a court by now. But what we are trying to say is that if there's a way we can walk around, you understand that something like if you can get what somebody has taken, if you can get it back, you understand that instead of spending so much on legal.
But is it not embarrassing when you see government functionaries trying to, Sheyi looked powerless in that action. Mm-hmm. Yes, because you are saying they took the cars. And you cannot order them return the cars. The only way you feel you can get the cars is to grab them on the road.
Let me tell you, wait. Grabbing them, you understand that it was law enforcement agents that retrieved those cars.
On the road?
Wait, no matter where, you understand that as far as it was taken illegally.
The point is that the tension has been building, right?
No. Wait, even there is no evidence that anybody was harassed or molested.
But the government announced that you have grabbed one car.
I said nobody was harassed or molested. You understand that? The security agents that were saddled with that responsibility were the one, and they were legally empowered to do such.
Let Emeziele come in here. You are following the politics we are discussing.
Very well.
Yes. What do you think?
Well, as far as Nigeria is concerned, for them to look into the activities of the other. Why? Because basically they are one and the same. Whether you call them progressives or conservatives, they've not shown any remarkable difference. And that is why the society is still the way it is. I see no reason. You know, today we talk about Hitler. We are still probing Hitler. We talk about Mussolini. We are still probing him. We just discussed Ojukwu. You interviewed someone. They talked about Ojukwu. And why come suddenly in Africa someone dies and we decide to allow the person to rest in peace? Suppose the person had committed atrocities against humanity. You just say the person will not be probed. There are instances even after death. People are sentenced to prison. They are reminded that, yes, what you have done, history will not forgive you. And on the basis of this, despite the fact that we are not attacking personalities, it is issues we are looking at. And on the basis of this, there is no reason why we should not talk about issues that affect development, issues that affect our own future. Because these leaders over the years that have been elected to make people smile, to make people happy, if they've not done well, there is no reason why we should not shield them, discuss them even after death. And so there is no reason why anything should be covered here, because we must learn from history. And if we don't discuss all these things, that means we are just trying to carpet some of our wrongdoings and misdeeds.
Dr. Mojama, you want to intervene?
Yes, because we have to look at these things very appropriately so that we will not be erring on the path of justice and law. He was saying that they were retrieving stolen property, from those who served in the past administration. My question is, from whose perspective? Because in the law, I'm happy that we have the former Attorney General here to help us out. An accused person remains innocent until proven guilty, probably by a court of competent jurisdiction. So when you say that somebody has stolen, then you are sending security operatives against the person to go and retrieve. Who has pronounced that person guilty? I think there is a sense in which we have to look at the legality of
Engineer Adetunji.
You see, before you arrive at a conclusion, you must have done all your research on the ground and concluded investigation, right? So I believe that the government has done that, or is doing that, or has done that. Let me put it in those two ways. That's one. Then secondly is that when it is established that somebody left with some cars, he might not even steal it. You understand that? It might not be stolen something. Probably he's not yet chance to bring it, or maybe he's using it for a purpose. Automatically, it is his own, it is responsibility under something to return it immediately. Government announce such. But in a situation whereby he refused or he does not return it on time, the best thing is for security agent to retrieve it back. And I want you to understand one thing. The documents to those cars did not bear names of those people. You understand that? So it's not as if maybe you have found them guilty before the court, but they are guilty, you understand, for the mere fact that they did not return it. But as far as I'm concerned, we don't want to make issue out of that. And
even if you don't make issue, because sometimes
they have all complied.
Hello,
they have all complied. That's just it.
Yes, sometimes politicians say they don't want to make issue.
We are not talking about it again because they have complied.
Fine, but we are reflecting on them.
Exactly.
Politicians tend to say we have moved on. No, we have not moved on yet. We will use them as benchmark in our discussion. Former Attorney General.
Yes, my brother.
Dr. Mojama posed certain questions, legal questions.
Yes, I agree.
Can you help us out?
I agree with him. You see that all of us erupted in laughter when my brother Olatunji made this point. He missed it totally. Please, let's do things decently and in accordance with the law. We are not in a banana republic. We are not living in jungles. Thank God my brother is here, Dapo Adesina. When some of our commissioners resigned to contest for elective offices before the 2015 election, some of them went away with their official vehicles. Senator Ajimobi, being a decent and conscientious gentleman, called me as a treasurer and said, look, we are going to appoint under commissioners in place of those that they can't take the car away. What do? We wrote them formally. And some of them returned the vehicles, official vehicle. Those that did not return, we didn't go after them on the road. We reported them to the police. We gave the particulars of those vehicles. And they were invited. And they said, look.
Some of them did not return the cars at the initial stage.
At the initial stage.
Why?
You see, maybe, so you see, in this part of the world, we tend to assume a lot of things that are wrong. Some will even believe, maybe, I'm a boy to, this is our government, I can go or use the car for some time and return it. But that's not even the issue. What I'm saying is that things should be done decently. Decently. You should have finished.
But why will Ajimobi commissioners go away with government vehicles?
I'm not even talking about that.
No, we have to talk about that.
I said, you see, we assume things, we here, in this part of the world, we take too many things for granted.
What do you know about those cars?
They were returned. All the cars were returned.
After she screamed and screamed.
No, I'm not talking about that one.
No, the same cars. Why will the commissioners go home with the cars?
No, even some commissioners said the vehicles were boarded and sold to them.
Who sold it?
The government. Yes.
Signed out by Ajimobi.
In fact, I invited some of them. They showed me their receipt. They have receipt.
All right.
They were boarded.
All right.
And sold to them.
We'll be back, and when we come back, we'll start with Dapo Adesina. The program is State Affairs. I am discussing with Bayo. He's a former Attorney General of Oyo State. Dapo Adesina is here too, a former member of the House of Representatives. Andrew Emeziele is the National Coordinator of Workers' Convergence and a former State Chairman, Trade Union Congress. I have Engineer Akeem Olatunji with me in the studio. He is the Publicity Secretary, People's Democratic Party, Oyo State. Dr. Olisa is of the Department of History, University of Ibadan.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo is live.
Splash FM 105.5.
Ó ti di rọrùn báyìí o nílùú Ìbàdàn fún ẹ̀yin èèyàn tẹ́ ń wá ọ̀nà láti yá concrete mixing machine láti po kọnkéré tó kì pọ̀. Iléeṣẹ́ Bidel Construction ti kó over 500 concrete mixing machine wọlé fún rentage pẹ̀lú owó péréte tí ò fàpọ̀ ẹni rárá. Ẹ tún máa gbọ́ bí o bá ti ń mú ìyàn wá sí Bidel Construction láti yá machine tí wọ́n fi ń po kọnkéré yìí tàbí ìwọ gan ló ń yá lọ lò. Ó máa gba ẹgbẹ̀rún kan lórí machine kan, ẹgbẹ̀rún márùn-ún lórí machine márùn-ún, mẹ́wàá àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Lórí iye machine tó bá yá, ó yá gbéra láti lọ yá concrete mixing machine lónìí ní iléeṣẹ́ Bidel Construction. Bidel Construction tó wà ní High Court Road, Ring Road, Ìbàdàn. Tàbí kí ẹ pè sórí nọ́mbà yìí 081-807-02938. Bidel Construction. Bí a ti fi concrete mixing machine ṣe rentage, la tún ní agbára owó láti bá yín gbé àkànṣe iṣẹ́ kalẹ̀ láì ní wàhálà kankan.
Babe, Grain Smart. Is it a flavor?
No, it's a special mix of vitamins and iron in Golden Morn.
But I thought Golden Morn was made from maize and soya.
Yes, Niger maize and soya protein fortified with Grain Smart, which means the right energy to think and do great things.
Oh! Treat your family to the great taste and energy of Golden Morn. Eat up and carry go, because nothing do you. Golden Morn, make every day amazing.
Olúwa fọpẹ́ sí àmì Ọlọ́run ṣe bí ọba. Òwúrọ̀ àkọ́tún ètò ní ìkànnì Splash FM 105.5 ní gbogbo ọjọ́ Monday sí ọjọ́ Sunday láàrin aago 5:30 ìdájí sí 6:00 5:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. pẹ̀lú wòlíì Ọlọ́run alààyè Apostle SMO Mustapha JP bàbá ṣe bí ọba. Òwúrọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ Ọlọ́run wípé gbogbo ẹni tó bá wá mi ní kùtùkùtù wọ́n rí mi àǹfààní ní ìfún ọ láti ní ìbápàdé Ọlọ́run nínú ayé bàbá ṣe bí ọba ní ìkànnì Splash FM 105.5 lójoojúmọ́ láti ọjọ́ Monday sí Sunday láago 5:30 ìdájí sí 6:00 fún wọn náà láti jẹ aládùn Ọlọ́run nípasẹ̀ ìránṣẹ́. Ìwọ náà máa darapọ̀ lójoojúmọ́ láago 5:30 ìdájí 5:30 a.m. sí 6:00 ọgbọ̀n ìṣẹ́jú iṣẹ́ agbára látẹ́gùn pẹ̀lú Ọlọ́run nínú ayé bàbá ṣe bí ọba. Apostle SMO Mustapha ìjọ Seed of Christ Golden Church International lóṣù nígbàwọ́ ẹ̀ ìrì òwúrọ̀ lójoojúmọ́ ní ìkànnì ìrírí iṣẹ́ agbára tó ṣàrà ọ̀tọ̀ nígbà bẹ́ẹ̀. lẹ́kùn àti gbé àti ṣiṣẹ́ léyìíkéyìí orílẹ̀-èdè ní Europe ó ti ṣí sílẹ̀ gbagada nílé iṣẹ́ You Fit Fly pàápàá jùlọ ọ̀kan lára àwọn Schengen countries tá a mọ̀ sí Poland la fi lẹ́ni tó mọ̀nà ló yẹ ká tẹ̀lé ní Poland tó fi mọ́ visa àti ìwé ìgbélú lọ́nà rọrùn láàrin ọjọ́ péréte gbogbo ètò ti tò kó o dára Poland lókù tá a bá ti wá rẹ́ni rani lẹ́rù ká má wulẹ̀ ṣe wàhálà jìnnà mọ́ ẹ tètè kàn sílé iṣẹ́ YouFitFly.com. You Fit Fly says stay safe.
Splash FM 105.5.
In the global village of conflicting ideologies and complexities, understanding systems and schemes through awareness and social reconstruction becomes expedient.
They never told you how you offended them?
I'm not on trial, so I can't go before
Join the radio man, Edmund Obilo, on state affairs for local and international politics, security, extensive economic analysis, interviews, and world power play.
Nigerians must choose the path they want to follow. Follow the same looters and sponsors of violence who control the political structures or encourage the formation of a new leadership team.
Be a global citizen and join the radio revolution on State Affairs. State Affairs with Edmund Obilo. Radio just got deeper.
Let's rattle ourselves a bit. Dapo, Adesina, I want you to listen to this. The pace of technological change is so rapid, exerting deep impact as it transforms human lives. Our lives are taking new meanings, from new business models to new ways of working. This is what Ray Kurzweil, in his 2005 book, The Singularity is Near, calls the law of accelerating returns. It is about the speed of the rate of technological and biological evolution. In the book, he argues that within several decades, information-based technologies will encompass all human knowledge and proficiency, ultimately including the pattern recognition powers, problem-solving skills, and emotional and moral intelligence of the human brain. 15 years after the book was published, his outlook is represented by the exponentially changing technological world you have seen as a politician. Is Nigeria playing in the core of technological transfer?
Absolutely no. And let me quickly digress to when we're talking about technology, I feel that it also aligns to talk about social media. Social media is a tool that is used all over the world for development. But when you quickly reverse back your mind to our society here, Nigeria, and you look at how members of my own generation are presently using social media, we'll still reverse back to that particular word that I learned from you today, mind games. Our leaders intentionally have divided us across so many sentimental lines: religious, ethnic, political. Today, when you see members of my generation discussing on social media, they discuss based on their political affiliation, not based on what they want to see their country turn out to be. For example, if I'm a member of Party A and my brother here is a member of Party B, and then the present person holding public office is a member of my party, if he does something wrong, I'm not going to scold him. I'm going to look for every means to defend that person, while my brother who is in Party B will be looking for every means to criticize. I think members of my generation, members of the generation next, should start to look at it from a point of view that these are leaders, they intentionally play mind games with us because they know that if ever we know the right thing, it's just like in the Bible or in the Quran where they said Adam and Eve, when they were in the Garden of Eden, a serpent brought apple and Adam ate and he knew what was right from wrong. The day we know what is right from what is wrong, that's when we demand from our leaders what is right. That's when we tell them the right things to do. We don't use social media.
But when you talk like this, I ask, is Dapo Lam not one of our leaders?
Well, I am, but sincerely, as much as I don't claim to be a saint, and as much as I don't also believe that I'm close to being a saint or being a perfect person, I believe that in my own little way, I've done so much with a lot of confidence to know that I've done what is right. And I make a very good example. I've been in office since 2011 and until 2019. And I said to people, while I was a commissioner, mainly I left office, I declared my assets. I made it public at that time, Code of Conduct Bureau. And a lot of people criticized me, saying, no, it's not true. You can't have that. It's too low, blah, blah, blah. But this time around, I also did the same thing immediately I left office. And I can assure you, nothing major has been added to my whatever I had going into office. I still maintain the one house that I had before I contested the election till today. If there was anything that has added to me, that has added to my properties, it would be naturally things that I got legally, maybe cars, that I had access to local loan from the National Assembly when they gave us car loan, which was mandatory. And I used the money to buy a car.
Do you miss the National Assembly?
I don't miss the National Assembly because I just feel that it was a lot of problems for me.
But you wanted to go back.
I wanted to go back because I felt, okay, there was more I could do. Just like what I'm saying now, I had the opportunity to serve people as much as possible. I'm not the only one in Nigeria. I'm not the only one in my constituency. If people feel that they want you to go and represent them, who are you to say you are not going? And then more so, I believe that you cannot be outside and fighting from outside for the people.
But you have always been inside.
I have been inside for a short while.
No.
And I can assure you that I've made a mark.
Your father was governor for 4 years.
I was not a governor.
Inside.
My father was a governor, but I was not. And I can let me remind you very well. At the point my father was governor, I was a governor's son. I didn't have access to government funds. I was not a contractor. I never got, none of us, the 6 of us, the kids of Alhaji Adesina, had access to government funds. We did not participate in government. We were not able to even get involved in contracting or getting contract for anybody. He made it clear to us from day one. That's the kind of person Great Lam was. So I started being in government in 2011.
Should I say like father, like son?
Well, I think there's still a long time before you can say that. It's just a short while.
You're not there yet.
I'm not there. I'm far from it.
Far from Great Lam.
Very, very far from Great Lam.
Your father was a godfather.
He said it himself.
So you are the son of a godfather.
I'm the son of the late Great Lam.
I started this engagement with him on the ground of technology.
Exactly.
The power of technology. The direction the world is moving. I recommend a book to you. It's entitled "This Singularity is Near" by Ray Kurzweil. When humans transcend biology. You know, whenever I open this book, I begin to say, perhaps we'll be recolonized with the way we are going. Because these guys are thinking ahead, exponentially ahead. You could see the prediction he's making here, and I can see them happening. He wrote this book in 2005. They project the future. But here we talk about food, bad road. What is wrong with us?
Well, I think there is a sense in which we are beginning to be disconnected from the mainstream of the humanity in terms of developmental trajectories. You know, if our forebears, I mean humanity in general, our forebears were to come back now, they would marvel at the level of development and transformation that have taken place in these modern times. Remember, it's a constant process, linear process of advancement, of development in the human existence. Time was when our forebears were struggling using spears, hunting and gathering, to capture animals to make a living. At a time, they transformed and moved into agricultural revolution, which was actually unknown. From agricultural revolution, they moved into scientific revolution. From scientific revolution to industrial revolution. Industrial revolution also has so many facets. There was a time when the world was interested in precious metals. Okay, then from there, they became interested in oil and gas. Now today, it's no longer oil. We are talking about intellect that has brought about digital technology, which we have today. And the transformation is continuing in such a way that occasion will arise, as has been predicted, when we shall now become both the creators. But unfortunately, the third world countries seem not to be, integrated into all these streams of developmental trajectory because of lack of education.
You have read this book, The World is Flat. I know you have.
Thomas Friedman, yes.
The World is Flat.
That is globalization 1.0. 2.0, 3, it's just what I have just explained, the differences in the kind of development we have attained over the years, bringing us to the globalization we have today, which is digital development.
Now reflect what you have just analyzed and look at our leaders, the way they talk. Does it look as if they understand what is going on?
Yeah, because they are politicians per se. They are not statesmen. In those days, somebody was telling you the kind of Nigeria we had in the 1950s. That is late 1950s, early 1960s. You cannot divorce scholars from politics. In those days, most of those people that were bestriding the corridors of power, we can have the books they wrote, meaning that they were also intellectuals. But today, the kind of politicians we have cannot be described as intellectuals. And that has contributed immensely to the gap we have in the developmental process between the developed countries and underdeveloped countries.
Poverty stalks the land like a tiger on the prowl. Poverty everywhere.
Well, I want to agree with you. Societies are becoming knowledge-based, and we are lost in it, especially in this part of the world, Africa and Nigeria. And the system is such that inevitably you must have poverty. You were talking about the idea of us being recolonized. We're already being recolonized. Right from independence period, we've never been free. The colonial powers have always had their hands in our governance. Of recent, people have just been sharing some videos how right from 1959, elections are being rigged by Britain through the Governor General. And up to now, societies is such that we have the industrialized societies and the ones that are just coming up. And there is this bifurcation, there is this class that there must be exploitation, a system whereby industrial countries, very industrialized countries have opportunities to exploit those that are not well industrialized. And the system is such that it is international and it must be sustained. And all these things are being put in place in terms of technology is to ensure that societies become well industrialized, some individuals become well developed, so that they can put in place a system of exploitation. And when there is a system of exploitation, there is denial. And when there is denial, people are deprived. And based on this deprivation, poverty becomes the song of the town. And when you have such poverty, it's not as if that the people themselves are poor. It is because they are denied by the system. The system had made it impossible for them to rise beyond gravity. And when you have such a thing, it is cries all over the land and the society. And that's why you have today in Nigeria massive poverty. And of course, if you want to look at it, the system of government that we are practicing is so that all those in power, they are not just there for the interest of the masses. The system is there for them to protect their own pocket, no matter what you call them, whether progressives or conservative. And that's why since 1960 in Nigeria, the gap between poverty between the rich and the poor is always expanding, and nobody is addressing it.
Why are you not addressing it?
Nobody is addressing it in the sense that the system is not addressing it.
Why not you?
But the people themselves acknowledge the fact that they are denied, they are deprived, they are exploited people. We are talking about it, but such that the system will look at. You talked about the mind. The mind itself, there is this popular discourse in philosophy. I read philosophy. The mind itself is still subject to discussions. They are saying that there is nothing like the mind. There is this argument about the mind and the body. Over the years, it's been discussed. Where exactly can we locate the mind? It's not a physical
It's
thing.
an abstract.
It's an abstract. By so saying, some had argued that there is nothing like the mind. Some had also said that everything can have a mind, including the table. And of course, based on this, we can say from my own intellectual position that the mind itself is a product of the environment. And if people are thinking in a particular way, it's because they've been induced to think that way by the environment. And that's why even when people are poor, they don't know that they are poor. They don't believe that they are poor. They believe that, yes, probably it's their own making. They don't see it as a product of the environment, as a product of society.
So if you want to solve the problem?
We don't blame the government, we don't blame the system for our poverty. Today we are talking about government having projects worth billions of dollars, while there is massive poverty on the land. Today we are talking about government trying to put in place gas pipeline worth 2.8 billion naira from the Niger Delta to Kano State. Why during this period we had, just like my brother said, depression of the past, what we have now based on COVID-19, so that people have been denied access to existence. Rather, what government did was to lock down, or rather lock up the people without giving adequate palliative. Look at the politics of palliative and the nonsense our government had made from it. In fact, based on this, you can even say that governance in Nigeria is dead.
Right.
And people are not feeling the impact of governance.
Let's look at some figures here. From being world poverty capital with the highest number of extremely poor people, a 2019 report published by Steve Hunker, an economist at Johns Hopkins University, Baltimore, United States of America, lists Nigeria among the 10 most miserable countries in the world. Attorney General, Nigeria, as one of the most...
We've always been, even right from the time of our independence up to today. Recently, on one of these radio FM stations in this state, they played an evergreen old-time music or song of one of these high life musicians. And you see, what I gather from that music is that we've always been complaining. Iluleo, Kosowolode, it has always been like that. You see, that's why I don't enjoy all these model statements. I've always been a practical person. I hate armchair theorizing and rolling out figures unnecessarily. But look, Nigeria is a country whereby all of us, we accuse other persons of being responsible for the problem of the country without examining or explaining ourselves. We are all in it. We are all guilty. Believe me, the fault is not in our stars, but in ourselves. Like they said in William Shakespeare, Julius Caesar. Look, we all owe this country the responsibility to examine ourselves, all of us. Believe me, let all of us play our part decently and responsibly.
Who leads that charge?
No, it starts with all of us.
Yes, all of us cannot lead the charge.
I gave an example recently. You see, he's a trade union activist. I don't know whether he's working for the government or he has some business. I know some labor leaders who in their private business are paying graduates potty sum of 20,000 naira, and yet they will be in the forefront of clamoring for minimum wage to implement by the government. We can't continue to run the nation like this. Look, do things right within your own immediate environment of where you are. Look, we talk of corruption. Who are the people responsible for the massive pilage of resources within our standard of learning?
Cultural.
Look, Babangida tried most of our at intellectuals, university dons. They failed. They were exposed. So what's the problem? A friend of mine, Rahman Bayo Abdul Karim, he heads the African Union Human Rights Affair. He was once a prosecutor with the European Union. And he said one of his colleagues in office, a lady, a Briton, asked him, "Hey, why, do you have another country apart from Nigeria are there any other country where we have Nigeria, apart from those Nigerians that I met that rule any country?"
But now the rain has beaten up.
But look what I'm talking about.
All right, we'll be back after this break.
Where are the problems?
Don't go away.
Splash FM 105.5.
Please listen to this announcement. Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN lecture. Register for your ICANN and ATS lectures with Uplink Professionals. We offer weekend lectures for ATS 1 to 3, foundation skills and professional levels. Private classes and revision classes are available for ICANN July Diet and ATS September Diet. Venue is United Secondary School beside WAEC office, Ijokodo, Ibadan. Telephone 0813 960 2322 or 0805 042 0279 or 0802 231 7663.
Splash FM 105.5.
Quick, Charger 240.
Hot news, cool vibes, sports, and more on the Integrity Station.
Time for BBC Minute with Andrew and James.
Ceremonies are marking the 25th anniversary of the Srebrenica massacre in Bosnia.
8,000 Bosnian Muslim men and boys were murdered by Bosnian Serbs, the worst mass killing in Europe since World War II.
You might have seen the name Jack Charlton has started trending. Sad one in the football world. News has come in that a member of England's famous 1966 World Cup winning team has died aged 85. He also managed the Republic of Ireland team.
President Trump has stoked political tensions in the US, has used presidential powers to pardon Roger Stone, a former advisor convicted of lying in an investigation over Russian election meddling.
On World Population Day, the UN is calling attention to women's access to contraceptives during lockdowns. It says 50 million women in middle or lower income countries are in danger of losing access to them.
And the final practice and qualifying ahead of Sunday's Styrian Grand Prix in Austria are due to get underway shortly, though have been endangered by rain.
8:59
BBC Minutes.
Quick, Charger 240.
Hot news, cool vibes, sports, and more on the Integrity Station.
We're kicking some folks out of the market this season.
I tell you, okay, everyone else in this bed with me, they're losers.
We're the station that beats all the competition. And we'll prove it as soon as we hear any competition.
105.5 Splash.
In the global village of conflicting ideologies and complexities, understanding systems and schemes through awareness and social reconstruction becomes expedient.
They never told you how you offended them?
I'm not on trial, so I can't go before
Join the radio man, Edmund Obilo, on State Affairs for local and international politics, security, extensive economic analysis, interviews, and world power play.
Nigerians must choose the path they want to follow. Follow the same looters and sponsors of violence who control the political structures or encourage the formation of a new leadership team.
Be a global citizen and join the radio revolution on State Affairs. State Affairs with Edmund Obilo. Radio just got deeper.
State Affairs.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
08091551055, 08056998678, 07069493000. The numbers again: 08091551055, 08056998678, and 07069493000. And you can leave a message for me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. Hello.
Hello.
Can you please turn down? Yes, good morning.
Edmund Obilo, how are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, I think the problem is both the leaders and the followers, we have problems. I've been listening to the response of some of our politicians, and they never see anything bad in what their colleagues have done. Therefore, we may not be able to resolve anything in this country. If this country must progress, somebody must take the lead. That's what happens all over the world. Singapore, Dubai, America, UK, somebody must take the lead, and others will follow. Thank you.
Thank you for calling the radio station. On the front page of the Saturday Tribune, crisis hits PDP APC. APC aspirants kick against indirect primary. Delegates list causes disquiet in PDP. We are talking about Ondo governorship election. On the front page of the Saturday Tribune, Magu panel demands politicians' files from 2015. Magu seeks bail from IGP. Police aids withdrawn. Northern leaders caution federal government. Finally, Buhari suspends Magu, appoints acting head for EFCC. Police kill 32-year-old businessman in Ibadan. Ondo CJ turns down lawmakers' request for impeachment panel for deputy governor. The lines are open. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Edmund.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Bayo.
Your name is?
My name is Bayo, and I'm calling from Olodo.
All right, Bayo, the ball is in your court.
So, on the way to move this country forward, I think I want to disagree with the submission of Mr. Bayo Ojo. They are the politicians. They need to give us a good platform, a good system, a working system. They need to redesign the system. And I believe if we have a good system, a good structure, I want to believe the populace, the people, we definitely fall in line. But a situation whereby politicians do the way they like, what do you expect from the people? He's just telling us that some people went away with government cars. He even said some brought the receipt that they used to buy those cars. Why will any responsible government sell government cars when he knows that some people is coming back to occupy that same position and they will need that car? So they need to really change their mind, give the people a good structure, a good system that we will all fall in line. That is what is working for them in those developed countries. Thank you.
Thank you for calling the radio station. The lines are open. Join the conversation. Engineer Akeem Olatunji, Publicity Secretary of the PDP, is on State Affairs. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Yes,
good morning, Edmund. My name is Lambert.
Lambert, good to hear your voice.
Thank you. I'm very happy that you are going down the memory lane because history cannot be diverted from any country. And I believe the reason why the issue of the Civil War still lingers today is because the government is shying away from it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to do the necessary reconciliation. And they don't want to, further this agenda of nationalism, Nigerianness, and that is why it has lingered. The earlier we talk about it, the earlier we resolve it, and then everybody know whether we should remain as a Nigeria or restructure in some areas. So that is on that. Then talking about politics in Nigeria and talking about ideology. Ideology is a thing of the elite in Nigeria, and the progressiveness or non-progressiveness is also a thing of the elite. A good example is what is playing out in Edo State. 4 years ago, people like Emeziele were progressive. Were on the side of PDP, and Obaseki was on the other side. And 4 years later, just a perfect switch. It doesn't happen in any other place except Nigeria. So I think there is a need to restructure the mind. There is a need for value orientation, and we should wake up and move ahead and move forward because the world is far, far, far ahead of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Lambert. Adebi Bukun is on Facebook. He says Nigeria has failed itself already. Adebi Damilare is also on Facebook. He says that what is happening to Magu is an eye-opener. Let's see what comes out of the case. Oladele Deu Joseph is here on Facebook. He says it's so disheartening that since independence, we are still dancing in a circle. The Magu ordeal says it all. Who is on Facebook? Olaifa Toby says here, it is quite unfortunate that our value system is faulty as Nigerians. John Oguche Onyisi says Magu was unable to remove the log in his eyes before trying to remove the pecks in other people's eye. Philip Bright Simeon says unless we are still deceiving ourselves, Nigeria cannot work. Nigeria is a scam. Hey, take it easy, okay? Fauzi Ghazali is here on Facebook. He says it baffles him when those assigned to fight corruption are assumedly corrupt too. This one is coming from Anthony Adinu. All are one criminals, he says. It's about Magu here. Julius Freeman Orogun says, because of crude oil money, these... All right. Okay, I might not take your full words because you are using terms that also describes me. You know, you tend to hear this constant word that Nigeria is a zoo. You know, that means I live in a zoo. I don't understand why those words remain as constant as they are.
Well, it's a matter of perspective anyway, which is actually not acceptable because human nature has moved beyond that. We have divorced ourselves from the hominids. We are now more refined than other animals as a result of education. We have suppressed our instincts. We are now using our intellectual capacity to drive the world.
But if you see, this message comes from mostly members of IPOB.
Yeah, it's not acceptable. That's what we are saying. You cannot say that about people in the 21st century. It's like saying using tribe to characterize the African society. Let me then use this opportunity to also explain it. If you look at those from the Western world, they hardly describe their society with the concept of tribe. But if they want to describe African society, they use tribe.
Why?
Yeah, because, you know, when you say tribe, you are trying to say a society that is still rudimentary. Okay? But it is better to say ethnic nationality, group.
But is society not rudimentary?
Well, no, because it has to do with organization. You are organizing yourself in a more sophisticated way.
You know, I was looking at the Igbo culture, you know, in my thought. And I was looking at what is going on in America, you know, Black Lives Matters. And I decided to reflect on the Igbo culture. There's this culture of Osu in some parts of Igbo land.
Yeah.
People that were born in recent time are tagged slaves.
No, that's not the concept.
You know, wait, I'm talking about where I come from, an Igbo land too.
Yeah.
You know, they are tagged slaves. They were people who were taken before the gods in ancient time.
Yeah.
Now today you segregate them.
That's not the meaning.
Okay, tell me the meaning.
You know, when you say there are two kinds of Osu, you know, people fail to understand this. And it also has some Western coloration. Osu means authority. That's why we can say Osuawu, okay, Osunhwo. These are people who held authority. But when the Western people came, those people became difficult to convert to Christianity. And therefore, the Christians, the Western pastors started segregating against them. Then the second part of Osu are somebody who has committed an offense, okay, and was ostracized
by the God,
by the community, okay. By then,
in ancient times,
yeah, there was no police. The way to reform people was to send them to the shrine for the Osu, the person in charge of the shrine, to reform the person. So having been sent to the shrine, you are now a member of that shrine. You become Osu. And everybody will be afraid of you because if anybody touches you, the shrine to which you have been dedicated will strike the person.
So their children remain Osu?
Of course, that's the idea.
So what is that? Is that not segregation?
It's even children of the gods, so to speak. Their position is higher because they have now become it's like
but society despised them.
Because of modernity. In those days, we were not despised. They were feared. Different from being despised. Feared because if you harm them, the gods to which they have been dedicated will fight for them.
You cannot marry their daughter because they are not freeborn.
That language of being freeborn is not.
No, it still exists. You see, perhaps you are looking at Anambra in some core parts of Imo State.
I'm telling you the history. The modern people who have now become Christians fail to research into this. They are looking at it from the trajectories presented to them by Christendom.
Now we are looking at reflections really about society, Engineer Olatunji. When you hear discussions like this, even if you look at some Yoruba culture, they segregate. Man is perpetually segregating it against itself. And you can see where we are. What do you think?
Well, the reason why that the Europeans are emphasizing on it is just to cause division among us.
And it's working.
And it's working, yes. In fact, some people, they see themselves more as a Muslim or Christian than being a Yoruba. You understand that? And they are even ready. Like some of our people from the north that are maybe Fulani or Hausa, they prefer supporting somebody from Mali that is also a Fulani because they practice the same Islam, even against their fellow Fulani that is a Christian. Talk less of Yoruba that we are all Nigerians. So, and that is one of the reasons why Bet ought to put a stop at. But the problem is that, you see, until we see ourselves as Nigerian before we can be able to solve the problem of this nation. For instance, if you go to Rwanda, in 1994, Hutu and Tutsi, yes, they were foes. But as of today, you can't even go to Rwanda and identify yourself as Tutsi or Hutu.
So you've now brought us back to the question of system.
Exactly. What I'm trying to say is that, but you need a strong man. You understand that?
To change the system.
To change the system. Now, for instance, you need a strong man to change the system. And such a strong man, by the time he starts the revolution, you discover that even among his own people, you understand that they will rise against him, right? And, we are in an era of politics, right? They will politicize his intention. For instance, look at what is happening to Magu now.